Hello again, everybody. It's Dr. Lindsay Bira, clinical health psychologist, coming at you with more Mindful Minutes, sponsored by Mind Science Foundation as a way to give us all some emotional wellness space, some time to practice the focus on our brains and making sure it's functioning well during this time. The last Mindful Minutes, I talked about what is mindfulness, so you can go back and find that one. In this one, I want to talk about this concept that I mentioned last time of gentle curiosity, what that is, why it's helpful, and how do we develop that more. If we think about and review really quickly the definition of mindfulness, this kind of simple definition, it has three parts: paying attention on purpose without judgment. This sense of gentle curiosity, and when we remind ourselves to step into that, it's kind of like a hack into mindfulness, because being gently curious about something is automatically going to make us pay attention. And when we can hold on to that phrase, being gently curious about something, then we're doing that on purpose with intention. Specifically, stepping into a state of gentle curiosity helps us drop judgment about something, and we simply just observe it as it is, and we're curious about why it is the way that it is. So let's talk about what this looks like in action. So I want you to look around you right now and just pick a random object. Beside me, I actually have this rubber band here, hair tie. So we can pick up any object. I want for you to find what it is. Could be something on the wall, or maybe it's something you can actually hold and grab. And I want you to look at this object as if you've never seen it before. So if you have no definition of what it is, notice its shape, its color. Be curious about why it's shaped the way that it is, why it has the color that it has. We can kind of turn it around if it's in your hand, or we can kind of look at it and notice the places at which the light is hitting it. Noticing the texture. Also being curious about the process of light and how that helps us see things. We can be curious in this moment about our eyes, the fact that we can pick up these images and then process them. We can also be curious about where this object was before it was in front of us. Maybe it's been on your desk for, years, I don't know, but it was somewhere before that. Thinking about who manufactured it, all the people who had a hand in getting this object to us. We can also kind of think about what this object is attached to for us. So for you, what does this object represent? How does it serve your life? Why do you have it? So we just spent about 1.5 minutes creating some depth into something very mundane and benign. We can do that, and that's a little mindfulness exercise. If we were to put ourselves in an MRI, we would see the frontal lobe light up whenever we create that experience. So that's on kind of an inanimate object, but we can also do this if we are waiting in line in the grocery store, or stressed out about being stuck at home in social isolation, or having conflict with somebody. The moment we remind ourselves to step into a sense of gentle curiosity, a sense of gentle observation of what's happening, we then kind of drop this judgment, drop fighting against it or wanting it to be a certain way, and we start to say to ourselves, and here's some key phrases that help us step into this. We say, isn't it interesting that? Or isn't it interesting to have this experience? So for example, waiting in line somewhere, right? You start to get that frustrated feeling and the antsiness that comes up. You might even feel your blood pressure, your heart rate rise a little bit. You just kind of want to get out of line. You also start saying things to yourself like, it shouldn't be this way. I can't believe I have to deal with this. That person who's checking out is using all the coins. They shouldn't be doing this. What an inconvenience, right? This only serves as a feedback loop into bolstering our frustration, increasing our heart rate, and making the experience a negative one. We might have something to do after that. In fact, if you're a busy human, then you do have something to do. However, the very function of being in a line is a part of the experience of going somewhere sometimes. And so in that moment, when we feel that frustration raise, that's our cue to step into mindfulness, to step into a state of gentle curiosity, gentle observation. And so in that moment, we can use our breath as a cue. taking a deep, slow breath and kind of reminding ourselves, okay, isn't it interesting to be human and alive in this experience? That this is exactly how this is supposed to go, given that I am at the grocery store and this happens sometimes, and this is just one of those experiences. Let me be interested in who this person in front of me is, maybe the things that make them tick. We know that everybody's perspective and anything that anyone does is predicted by their genetics, their previous experiences, and their current stressors. So no matter what anybody's doing, if we remember those three things and we're curious about the context of who they are, then what they're doing makes sense and we can actually allow it to unfold instead of fighting against it and being frustrated. So I want you to think about, in this moment that we're all in, how do we step more into this sense of gentle curiosity? And I want you to start saying to yourself, when you find yourself fighting against the reality of what's happening, I want you to step into saying to yourself, isn't it interesting to be a human and alive during this pandemic? Isn't it interesting to be experiencing this, even if it's something negative, even if it's job loss, right? You're one human in so many people who've experienced this over time. We don't want to negate the stressful component of it, but we can't solve the problems immediately, and that's what the brain tries to do. So we want to step into a state of mindfulness and say, isn't it interesting that I am experiencing this right now? Not letting it mean any more about you or about the future, and simply allowing yourself to step into problem-solving mode when you can, when you have enough data and enough of a path forward, you will take it. So as we all settle into the brand of COVID-19 effects that we each have, everybody is different, I want you to step more into that gentle curiosity about this collective experience and just the experience of being alive within it. Thank you. Next time, we're going to talk about the power of the breath, a hack into our nervous system. See you then.